It began with the storm that swallowed the sun. At first, we thought it was just an unusual weather pattern. The storm clouds rolled in fast, blanketing the town in an oppressive darkness that turned noon into midnight. The air was heavy, thick with the scent of wet earth and ozone, and every breath felt like dragging water into my lungs. Thunder rumbled low, like a growl from something ancient waking in its sleep. The rain started as a drizzle, the kind that beads on windows and runs down like tears. But within minutes, it became a deluge. The roads turned into rivers, and the sound of water battering against rooftops was deafening. My little sister, Ellie, pressed her nose to the living room window, her breath fogging the glass. "They'll come," she said softly, her voice barely audible over the storm. I glanced up from my spot on the couch. "What?" Ellie didn't look at me. Her wide, unblinking eyes were locked on the street outside. "When it rains like this, that's when they come." A chill worked its way up my spine, though I tried to laugh it off. "Who's they?" She shrugged, her small frame shivering despite the warmth of the house. "Grandma told me about them before she died." I opened my mouth to dismiss her, as only a big brother can, but the look on her face stopped me. Ellie was always the brave one, but now she looked like a rabbit in a snare. I stood and walked over to her, crouching down to her level. "Ellie, what are you talking about?" She turned to me then, her green eyes shimmering with tears. "The rainmen." The first time Ellie mentioned the rainmen, I chalked it up to a child's overactive imagination. But that night, as the storm raged on, I couldn't shake her words. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the relentless hammering of the rain. Every so often, a gust of wind would rattle the windows, and I'd tense, half expecting something to happen. At 2:14 a.m, I heard something breaking through the din of the rain, too slow to match the rhythmic battering of the storm. I froze, my ears straining to pick up the direction of the noise. It came again. It was coming from the front door. I slid out of bed and crept down the hallway, careful not to wake Ellie. The house was dark, the only light coming from the occasional flash of lightning that illuminated the rooms in stark white. My heart thudded against my ribs as I reached the entryway. I peered through the peephole. At first, I saw nothing but the distorted image of a street lamp flickering outside. But then, the lightning struck again, and I saw it. A figure standing at the edge of the driveway, half hidden by the rain. It didn't move. The tapping stopped. I didn't sleep that night. When morning came, the storm had passed, leaving the world soaked and glistening under a pale grey sky. The figure was gone. Ellie didn't say anything about the rainmen at breakfast, and I didn't bring it up. But I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd seen, or rather, what I thought I'd seen. The logical part of my brain told me it was probably just a trick of the light, maybe a tree or a misplaced shadow. But the rest of me wasn't so sure. That afternoon, I decided to do some digging. Grandma had passed away years ago, but my dad kept most of her belongings in the attic, including the dusty old books she used to read to us as kids. If there was any truth to Ellie's story, I figured I might find something there. The attic was a time capsule of my childhood. Boxes of Christmas ornaments, photo albums, and faded quilts that still smelled faintly of lavender. I spent hours sifting through the clutter, my fingers brushing against the ghosts of memories. And then I found it. A leather-bound journal, its spine cracked with age. Grandma's handwriting filled the pages, looping and elegant. Most of it was mundane. Recipes, gardening notes, letters she never sent. But near the back, the tone shifted. The words grew jagged, frantic, as if written in a hurry. It read, "They come with the rain. They're neither alive nor dead. Do not look at them. Do not speak to them." And above all, the next line was smeared. The ink bled beyond recognition. But the final sentence terrified me to my core. "If you hear the tapping, it's already too late." The next storm came 3 days later. Ellie and I were playing cards in the living room when the sky darkened and the first drops of rain began to fall. She looked up sharply, her face pale. "They're coming," she whispered. I tried to reassure her, but my voice faltered. I didn't believe my own words. Instead, I grabbed her hand and pulled her into the hallway, away from the windows. "We'll stay here," I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. "It's safe." The rain intensified, pounding against the house like an angry drumbeat. The lights flickered once, twice, and then went out completely, plunging us into darkness. I fumbled for my phone, turning on the flashlight. "Stay close," I told Ellie, my voice trembling. But all of a sudden, we heard something. Loud, more pronounced. The sound echoed through the house, bouncing off the walls like a sinister melody. Ellie clung to me, her small hand digging into my arm. "Don't open the door," she begged. "Promise me." "I won't," I said, but the words felt hollow. The tapping continued, growing faster and faster still. It wasn't just the front door now. It was the windows, the back door, even the walls. And then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The silence was deafening. We stayed in the hallway until dawn. When the sun finally rose, I ventured outside, my legs shaky and my heart pounding. The storm had passed, leaving behind a trail of destruction. Fallen branches, flooded streets, and a strange sour smell that clung to the air. And something else. The front lawn was covered in footprints, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all leading to the house. They were long and narrow, with toes that ended in sharp, claw-like points. I didn't tell Ellie. Over the next few weeks, the storms became more frequent. Each time, the rainmen came, their tapping relentless and their presence suffocating. I tried to follow Grandma's rules. I didn't look at them. I didn't speak to them. But with every storm, it became harder to ignore them. They were getting bolder. One night, I woke to find Ellie's bed empty. Panic surged through me as I tore through the house, calling her name. I found her in the living room, standing by the window. She was staring outside, her face blank, her eyes wide and glassy. "Ellie," I shouted, grabbing her shoulders and pulling her away from the glass. "What are you doing?" She blinked, as if waking from a trance. "I heard them. They were calling me." Her words sent a cold wave of terror through me. "You didn't answer them, did you?" She shook her head, but her lips trembled. "No, but I think they're angry." That was the first time I saw one of them up close. It was during the next storm, just after midnight. The tapping had started again, but this time it wasn't just at the door. It was inside the house. I was sitting in the hallway with Ellie when I heard the sound. Wet, squelching footsteps moving down the hallway. I held my breath as I turned my head, the beam of my flashlight trembling. It stood at the far end of the hallway, hunched and dripping, its elongated limbs contorted at unnatural angles. Its skin was translucent, like water frozen in time. And its eyes were hollow, empty voids that seemed to suck the light out of the room. I tried my best not to move. I tried not to breathe. I just watched as it slowly turned its head towards us, its mouth stretching into a grotesque imitation of a smile. Ellie whimpered behind me, and the sound broke the spell. I grabbed her hand and bolted, dragging her into the bathroom and locking the door behind us. The infernal tapping started yet again, deafeningly loud this time, as if the rainmen were furious. I don't know how long we stayed in that bathroom, but when the storm finally ended, the house was eerily quiet. We emerged cautiously, half expecting to find the rainmen waiting for us, but they were gone. The next morning, I packed a bag for Ellie and me. I didn't know where we would go, but I knew we couldn't stay. The rainmen were getting stronger, their reach extending beyond the rain, and I couldn't protect Ellie forever. As we drove away from the house, I glanced in the rearview mirror. For a moment, I thought I saw something standing in the doorway, watching us leave. But when I looked again, it was gone. The storms still come, and with them, the rainmen. I don't know what they want, or why they've chosen us. But one thing is certain. When it rains, they come, and they always find you.